It is episode number 4 of the Phoenix Flight Path. Hello and welcome along. I'm your host, Jimmy Vandermart, and we are getting to the pointy end when it comes to the Phoenix, only a few weeks away. And one of the biggest puzzle pieces I feel has been put into the Phoenix puzzle. That is Melbourne Cup Heat Night. We'll chat about that a little bit later on and just how important Melbourne Cup Heat Night can be to the end result in a Phoenix a couple of weeks later. Big show ahead. Michael Ty will have in just a moment the road to the Phoenix, what it takes to win a Phoenix, and this is huge. The inside word from Stephen Fitch from New South Wales. He is the clubhouse leader when it comes to the Phoenix, sitting up there nice and pretty. 2 runners engaged already and the only 2 that have been locked away. As I welcome you, Mickey Ty, to episode number 4. Barefoot Zulu out, explicit out. A lot went under the bridge last week.
I know, we couldn't even make it to the next morning without things going pear-shaped, James. But no, it was an amazing night of racing on the weekend. Funny you say that about the pointy end of the Phoenix. This is probably the most difficult week I've had trying to come up with the 8 rankings.
Well, mate, we've sort of the last couple of weeks been sitting there with greyhounds locked away, so it makes things a little bit easier. You've had the likes of Cumbria Jack, obviously, who's been locked away, but then Barefoot Zulu, who was locked away, sustained an injury. Slick Splits, who I reckon was on the brink of being selected, and then Explicit, who I thought the fairy tale just might happen for Team Thompson, obviously, with a slot in the race, but that hasn't happened either. He's been sent off to retirement. So a lot of water through the bridge. And the one runner, I reckon, from the other night that we've heard might be retiring, Smooth Plane, I feel gutted, to be honest, Mickey Ty, because his run was enormous the other night, and I still feel there's one big one in him.
Yeah, maybe, James. I'm not sure about that, actually, but a 50-50. I don't think he's up to the Phoenix anyway, but he's just that rung below at the moment. Has it been confirmed if he's going to be retired, or you haven't heard any more about that?
Hasn't been confirmed, but some decent murmurs getting around the track at Sandown over the weekend that this could be his last start. So, yeah, if he got beat, he got beat. He was unlucky, but that's Smooth Plane, isn't it? Like he's probably always been one that is as quick as any dog in the country, but being that slowish beginner. And as you said, maybe just lost a little bit of burn the older he's got as well. He's getting further back and finding more trouble. Anyway, we roll on to the first segment of the show, which is the road to the Phoenix. And I've been busy. I've put together a nice little graphic because I wanted to see, we've had 4 runnings of the Phoenix thus far. I wanted to find out what it takes to win the great race. Now, we will be catching up with Stephen Fitch a bit later on. Eriza Sparkles, one of his charges, went around in a Melbourne Cup heat. His other, the race favourite Cumbria Jack, did not go around in a Melbourne Cup heat. Anyway, here it is, 2021. Wow, she's fast. Won the Phoenix at start number 7. She raced in the Melbourne Cup Series and run 5th in a Melbourne Cup heat. In 2022, Wow, she's fast, won the Phoenix again. This year, she ran 6th in a Melbourne Cup heat. 2023, Scalacci caused the upset, leading all of the way in the Phoenix. He was 8th in a Melbourne Cup heat that year. And of course, last year, 2024, Explicit, he won the heat, he won the final, and then he went on to win the Phoenix. So what I'm getting at here, Mickey Ty, 4 runnings of the Phoenix, and the road to the Phoenix has always been the same. Through a Melbourne Cup, Stephen Fitch with Cumbria Jack is out to change the tone, I suppose, this year.
Well, I've been going pretty hard on it. That preparation is key, and multiple looks at a track is key. So I have heard that he will be trialling, Cumbria Jack will be trialling here on Thursday at the Meadow. So that's a great sign. Getting the ball rolling. Maybe Stephen Fitch will obviously confirm that with you. I want to see him go really well here, break 30 seconds and be on track. But that's a great stat with the Melbourne Cup heats. It just shows you how important preparation is. And I'll give you an example. Deadly Avenger on Saturday night had a poor prep, was favourite, box 1, and it was unplaced.
3 weeks, do you reckon, in your opinion, that's enough to get Cumbria Jack set and ready for a Phoenix? Because I reckon this year, if he's fully fit, even probably 95% fit, he is the best dog in the Phoenix. And you can see that from right now.
No, he is. I also think box draw will be very important. Put it this way, I still think it's maybe a week or so short of where I'd like it to be, but he could negate that by getting an inside draw, I think. So the draw is crucial for this dog. I just think at the Meadows, a dog from New South Wales, I think box 1 or box 2 is key for this dog.
So on to power rankings for episode number 4, and I tell you what, it's been tough to put together a field of 8 for the Phoenix right here, right now. I am with 1, Cumbria Jack. We're about to hear from Stephen Fitch. I cannot wait to find out what the road to the Phoenix looks like for this boy. 2, Eriza Sparkles, also for Fitchy. Comes into this off a Melbourne Cup heat run that was excellent. Standing in the Top Gun. She is one of the real key players. Number 3, It's been left of centre for a long time, this dog, Intrepidus. Could he have done much more in a Melbourne Cup heat? 4.98 to the peg, 18.51. He lit them up. And for me, that's what it takes to win a Phoenix. Number 4, Dashing Slay. Gee, I liked her run the other day. I know she can shift up the track a little bit early, but once she saw clean air, obviously Wyong Dallas going amiss, which was disappointing, but she was home anyway. She would have given him Winburn. She is an absolute star, and I reckon she lost 3-4 lengths at the first corner going posted wide and still went 29.20. So she's arguably the quickest dog in the country. 5, I've put Melly Beauty in the list again. I don't love her racing pattern, but I love the fact in the Phoenix you are going to be able to select potentially a draw 5 to 8, and she'll be one of the only runners that want to be out there, and therefore she'll be content and she'll run well. 6, I've gone with Kenya Mayhem for Jess Hopkins. I love the story. He was outstanding, and he handled the pressure better than I reckon we've ever seen him handle the pressure in a Melbourne Cup heat. He's peaking at the right time. He's an up-and-comer, and he's only going to get better. 7, I've gone with Zipper on Time. I've got my concerns about her. Obviously, though, with Awesome Lodge with a slot in the race, they're going to select one of their stars, and I think it could be her. It's Traumatised was unlucky, but I'm going with Zipper on Time. And number 8, new entrant for the first time this year, Dacey's Rory. Just reliable. He's had the experience in a Phoenix, and you could argue that the Phoenix he raced in is going to be stronger than what it is this year. So that's my power rankings. 1, Cumbria Jack, 2, Eriza Sparkles, 3, Intrepidus, 4, Dashing Slay, 5, Melly Beauty, 6, Kenya Mayhem, 7, Zipper on Time, and 8, Dacey's Rory.
Pretty good, James. Yeah, Dacey's Rory, I can definitely see why you've gone that route. That dog's been racing at the top level for well over a year now. He's been there, done that. Box 8, probably not much help to him in the Melbourne Cup final, but, probably irrelevant for the Phoenix rankings. The dog deserves to be there. I like your Dashing Slay pick too. Versatile, and box draws could be a plus for her. She can get box 6 and be happy,
100%. The one concern I have with Dashing Slay is I think she, at this point in time, is a better Sandown dog to the Meadows. Do you put much value on that if dogs are performing better at one track than the other, or do you believe with time and experience she'll do what she does at Sandown over at the Meadows?
No, I do put some value to that they can be better at one track over the other. Tribeca's a good example of that. His Sandown form, whilst he's had some tricky draws, he's been much better at the Meadows, and he's hanging on by a thread in my rankings because his Meadows form is great.
Well, we're sitting here, we're biting our nails trying to find out what your power rankings are, Mickey. Take it away with episode number 4, power rankings.
Look, I can honestly say that the first 3 weeks I found I didn't have much trouble making my 8, but week 4 we're getting closer to the Phoenix, and this was the most trouble I had actually doing the rankings. So here are my week 4 power rankings. We've got number 1, Eriza Sparkles, as I said, it's been selected by Steve Fitch. Number 2, Accredited. This dog just hitting form at the right time for Ned McDonald. Obviously a Group 1 winner on the track over the 600, and I like that. The strength it's built from those runs can be handy in these Melbourne Cup heats. And he not only is he strong, he's pinged the start and went 5:01, 18.60 in the heats. Accredited skyrocketed up the rankings. Number 3, Kenya Mayhem. A little bit similar to Accredited here. I think they're the 2 for the Melbourne Cup. So I'm very happy to have both of them in the rankings. Kenya Mayhem got good form at the Meadows and hitting form at the right time for Jess Hopkins. And what a story it'll be if she can win the Melbourne Cup. 4, Zipper on Time. I agree with your comments there, James. Just a little bit concerned how she's been going into the catching pen. I could almost just see she seemed hesitant. I almost felt like that's why she got nabbed late, because she seemed a bit timid going into the catching pen. Hopefully a new venue might be able to eradicate that issue. Number 5, Melly Beauty. Again, as you said, just with the box draw situation, she can be drawn out wide. Wasn't thrilled. I don't think she trialled at Sandown Park before that run on Saturday night, which I find a bit odd, to be honest, that they wouldn't have prepared a little bit better there. I'm not sure what's eventuated there, if they just didn't want to have another trip in the truck to trial. I'm not sure. Melbourne Cup heat, probably need a trial. But anyway, Colac Kid, still in there, box 8 at Sandown Park on Saturday night. Beaten by the draw. Still thought it was a good run. Happy to have him in the shootout winner. Tribeca at number 7. His Meadows form still excellent. Box 5 on Saturday night was no help to him. I thought he ran well, but he's just hanging on in there. And number 8, Cumbria Jack. Very, very, very happy to hear he's going to be here on Thursday trialling. So the path for him starts this Thursday for me, and he's one that could skyrocket up in the rankings next week. If he went something insane here on Thursday, 29.50 or 29.60, he's going to be right up there. And probably that first emergency situation's traumatised. I still think it could be right in it, but box 8 on Saturday night, it was just a put the pen through it, slightly missed the start, big watch on it. So there's my 8 plus traumatise.
Yeah, I think traumatise is a huge chance to still go there as well. And when you look through the I guess the road to the Phoenix as we did earlier, they haven't necessarily gone well in a Melbourne Cup heat to then come out and win a Phoenix. Draws are everything when you get to a race like a Melbourne Cup heat. And I think this year, traumatised, as you say, drawing box 8, he never got a chance to show what he's actually capable of. And he's probably not the most consistent beginner of yet. And with Zipper on time, you're spot on. I think she could go to the Meadows and go to a complete new level. I think Team Thompson have her targeting the Phoenix, not the Melbourne Cup. That's the other plus if you're backing her.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, I think it was maybe 2022, the Thompsons had a Melbourne Cup heat night where they just had a pile of horror draws, box 8s, and they ran accordingly. So just forgive all those runs. You know, your Flying Zuluf, box 6, Colac Kid, box 8, Traumatised, box 8. They were just all horror draws. These are very, very good greyhounds. It's a case of forgetting they went around and resetting.
Well, mate, you gave us a little bit of an insight to the Melbourne Cup, and you believe potentially Kenya Mayhem accredited the dogs to beat. We might get a little bit of a tip off you for the two big ones racing Saturday night at the Meadow, at Sandown rather. Sandown, of course, racing, Saturday? The Meadows racing Thursday, I believe, this week. Who do you reckon wins the Melbourne Cup, and who do you reckon wins the Bold Trees?
I'd love to see Jesse Hopkins win with Kenya Mayhem. I really would. And I think box 2 is a big plus for it. I'm just going to lean towards accredited, just with that versatility of him nailing the jump. And with Dashing Slay is a real vital cog in the wheel for this race, because if she just sort of steps right, might take those outside 4 dogs out of the race. And then we're left with 4, and accredited's got that speed and strength. So that would be my top selection for the Melbourne Cup. And for the Bold Trees, I think Without a Trace can turn the tables. Some of those distance heats can be very frustrating as a punter, because Peter Prosciutto would have been thrilled that she ran second and found her way through to the final. But us punters who were backing her at $1.50 or $1.60, we're fly blown. So, but she still ran well, and I think she can turn the tables on Aiden's Warrior, just with Aiden's Warrior being a little bit more in the middle this time and Without a Trace can still be out in space. I think she can turn the table. So I'm sticking with Pete Prosciutto and Without a Trace.
How important is the Melbourne Cup in relation to the Phoenix? If you win the Melbourne Cup, are you locked away for the Phoenix, do you believe? Is it automatic entry type stuff?
I think so, yeah. Like, that's why accredited and Kenya Mayhem featuring heavily in my rankings this week, because I think if they win the Melbourne Cup, the way the Phoenix has dropped off slightly with some of these injuries and retirements, I think you've got to pick them, don't you?
I think so. I think the winner of the Melbourne Cup is going to go a long way in this year's Phoenix. It's mouth-watering stuff. It's intriguing. Who knows what's going to happen next Saturday night. But, Mickey, short little sweet segment with you, mate, because in 15 minutes from now, which will be right on the back of this, we will be chatting with Stephen Fitch. All of the inside word, Eriza Sparkles and Cumbria Jack. Is there a certain question you'd like me to ask Fitchy from you?
Well, yeah, if he is trialling on Thursday, and then if he, like, what would the preparation be after that? Would he keep trialling, or would he look to race here once with a full field situation rather than a trial? That would be the info I think would be important for punters.
All right, mate. Well, I'm going to ask him all of the dynamite questions, and I tell you what, I cannot wait to chat to him, not only to get to know him, but he's in such a good position in this year's Phoenix, the only 2 greyhounds selected. It's extraordinary. So that wraps up your segment today, Mickey. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of the week, mate, and happy punting with the Melbourne Cup as well.
On you, James. Speak soon, buddy.
Inside Info.
Well, this is an Inside Info segment that I am delighted to be a part of. A man who is in the box seat when it comes to this year's Phoenix. 2 greyhounds have been selected, and Stephen Fitch from Nowra Hill in New South Wales has those 2 greyhounds that are his, and the 2 that are selected. It's extraordinary stuff. As I welcome you, Fitchy. Thanks for your time, mate, on the Green Light On podcast. It's good to have you.
Thanks, mate. Good to be here.
Hey, talk to me a little bit, mate. Before we rip into the Phoenix chatter and pull apart the big news, I suppose, Cumbria Jack, who was the first greyhound selected, and his path to the Phoenix, and obviously Eriza Sparkles, who's been dynamic in Melbourne. Talk to me about your involvement in greyhound racing and how it all began.
Oh, like most people, it was a family thing. My dad was one of the first founding members of the Dubbo Club back in, I assume, in the early 70s. And then my, dad had them for a little while and started with the club out there, and then, got out of them like a lot of people do. And then my brother got involved when he was in his teen years and just sort of dragged me into it. So I think it's something that's just in your blood, and once it's there, it's very hard to get it out, isn't it? So,
It is, mate. And you were pretty successful in the business sector. So was it a tough decision to go from running a successful business effectively into full-time greyhound training?
it wasn't a hard decision. It was a relief more than anything. I think, going back, all I ever wanted to do was be around the dogs, and I dabbled in and out of it over the years. And when we moved down here, we set up a few acres, and the property was already set up. So I had the dogs, and I was doing both dogs and the business. And I suppose I got to the point where, financially, I could do it without a lot of pressure on me when I sold out of our business, and just finally, first time in my life, was able to do something I really wanted to do.
When did you start training full-time?
I'll tell you when I started. I started on the 1st of October. Must have been 2 years ago. 23. So I sold the last of my business on that day, and then thought I'd try and have a crack at, just doing the dogs full time and hoping I could just make enough money to tick over. And I think 13 days later, we're in a final of the $1 Million Chase with Cumbria Kid and nearly won it. Yeah.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Life-changing being in a race like that if you can win it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, even coming second was still good money, and life-changing experience. Sort of thinking, well, maybe we can have a crack at this. So.
Is that what it is? Making a big final that you sort of go, I guess as a bit of a hobbyist before that, you've got good dogs. You've always had good dogs, as far as I can see back in the history books. You've always had a very competitive kennel, but when you just kick off full time, 10 days later you're in $1 Million Chase. It probably gives you belief more than anything, doesn't it?
Just belief in that. Yeah, we can mix it with the professional guys, and yeah, we have the dogs that can compete. And for me, it's always about if you can compete in those races, you have a go. You might, in the back of your head, you think you can't win them, but I found out you're only ever a couple of good box draws and a little bit of luck away from almost winning these races.
That's brilliant. It's a great story. Do you pinch yourself that you've been training 2 years and then you've now got arguably two of the best sprinters in the country, Eriza Sparkles and Cumbria Jack?
Yeah, you do. You do pinch yourself. Yeah, like I only breed one or two litters a year, and like everyone, it's taken me 10 years to build the team, but we've had a couple of really good litters, and we've had a couple of ordinary ones as well. Where that's when you go, oh, geez, this is a bit harder than I thought. But then to have that, 2 years ago we bred two litters, and there's, as I say, two of the probably best dogs going around from two separate litters, and but the rest of the litter in both those litters are really good dogs as well, that we turn up every week, and they're usually picking up a second or a third or a win wherever we go with them, which in the background outside the big races, that's really important to have those dogs who tick over every week.
Yeah, you've got me thinking, mate, because you're running a successful business. You're making obviously good money doing that, running successful businesses, and you make the move to greyhound racing because you love the thrill of racing, I suppose, and you love the dog. What is it that you love about racing? What is it that you love about working with greyhounds?
I don't know. I think when I was a kid, I just liked being around dogs, and that was before we had greyhounds and animals. And essentially, mate, you get to the point in your life, you go, well, at what point do I do what I love and get rid of things that might be making some money in that, but still, I can't say I ever really loved what I did. So that goes back to when I was originally in the printing industry as an apprentice and that, and I, worked in there for 15 years as well. But eventually you get to the point you go, well, life's too short not to do something I want to do.
I just love it, mate. I love looking from the outside in, seeing that you've gone from a successful businessman effectively to doing greyhounds, not to try and win the big races and to try and win the money. You've done it because you love racing, you love the dogs, and that's great. Talk to me about Cumbria Jack, because Michael Ty on the podcast, he's a little bit unsure about how this boy's going to get to the Phoenix. I actually brought up a graphic earlier in this show. It shows that every single Phoenix winner to date has gone through the Melbourne Cup Series. Your boy He's all class. He's arguably the number one seed in this year's Phoenix, but he's having to do it a little bit differently because he had sustained an injury. Talk to me about that and the path to the Phoenix this year.
Yeah, I think a little bit too much has been made of it. One, he didn't really have any bad injuries. He just had a toe cap and another toe ligament that were giving him a bit of trouble after the MDC. I could have pushed on with him into the Top Gun and that and run the risk that he was going to, injure it worse. So I just made the decision that he needed 2 or 3 weeks off, and that just meant missing the Top Gun. Could have possibly squeezed him back for the Melbourne Cup, but I've just put all, Phoenix is, a $1 million race. I put all 100% focus into just setting him a program that he'll be ready for that race.
That, so there's still, everything's going, I guess, to script and to schedule. He's been trialling, has he, recently up in New South Wales?
Yeah, he had his first trial last Friday at Nowra. I just slipped him from our catching pen into the catching pen. He ran home in 11:58, which is unheard of. I don't think anything's ever broken 11:60. I had to check with the blokes, but we're pretty sure that's a record. And then he went to Bulli on Friday and went 22.2, just over the 400, off, again, very little work. So I have no issues with him being ready, yeah.
So he's on track, and I guess from the outside we're trying to work out, is he going as well as what he was 2-3 months ago, in your opinion, based on those trials he is?
Yeah, he broke 22 seconds the week before the MDC at Bulli, but trial mornings, you never know exactly what you're going to get track-wise. As I say, he ran the best of the morning there on Friday by a long way. He's now in Victoria with Josh, because they're obviously, he's part of the slot holders with the Metro Jetting team. We're just hopefully he starts trialling. He's going to have, the aim is for him to have at least 2 or 3 looks at the Meadows before the Phoenix. So
yeah,
if dogs have been through the Melbourne Cup to get to the Phoenix, that's great. But the Phoenix is not at Sandown. So.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that you're 110% focused on just winning the Phoenix. What is the plan? Do you know, I heard murmurs that there's a chance you'll be trialling Thursday at the Meadows. Is there any truth behind that murmur?
Yeah, it is. We did make a booking there for that, and just waiting for Josh to get back to me and make sure he's happy that he settled in okay. As I say, and he flew down on Saturday. And yeah, just make sure he's okay, and then he'll trial Thursday night. If not, we can pull the pin on that and just go around in the normal sessions.
Yeah, is there any chance that he could race before the Phoenix, or will it just be a matter of trialling him, getting him to a level that you're happy with him and first up into the Phoenix?
Yeah, I think we had thoughts of giving him one start, but realistically, probably not, no. He's rather better off having a good couple of looks at the track and coming out of the Victorian boxes and, into the race. I haven't seen too many smarter dogs in a field than him. I don't see any need for him to be going around in a Thursday night or something, risking getting, something going wrong.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Well, you're the clubhouse leader, mate. You've got 2 engaged. The other is Eriza Sparkles. And I tell you what, her Melbourne form, the opposite to Cumbria Jack preparation-wise, she has come down to the Top Gun. She ran a hell of a race. She then went to the Melbourne Cup heats. Again, ran a hell of a race. She must be confident with her. And as far as I can tell, she's up with the Whelans, who are a great family up at Meetung, which is a bit of a holiday destination. So, if anything, Eriza Sparkles is getting a nice little holiday down there as well.
Yeah, she went there the night after the Top Gun. Things happened pretty quick. They contacted me a few days before about her about going in the slot with the Ram team. So I don't really want to be driving 10 hours up and down the freeway with her. So I thought it was best that she goes there and has a crack at the Melbourne Cup and then focus on the Phoenix after that. Yeah, but no, she's they send me photos and that, and saying she's settled in the next day, bouncing around like she owns the place and is having a good time. And we've set a program for her to again be peaking on the 13th of December.
When you say you're setting a program, what do you mean by that?
Just essentially, I bit of a believer, history repeats. So when I set her for the $1 million chase, I took her to Bulleye twice on the Friday before and gave her 2 470s, and then went back to the circle on the semi-final night, and that's when she ran a PB. So, which was 29.17 and like the fastest pitch ever at Wenny. So I just look at what we did then, and then try and replicate that with Harley and talk to him, and we've come up with a plan, and yeah, hopefully she's in on Thursday night at the Meadows. We wanted to have one more look at the Meadows, and then she'll just work at his house, and then she'll probably go somewhere and have a good hit out on a one-turn track a week out from the Phoenix. Same with Jack, half the reason we gave him a couple of weeks off was because I go back through his history when he broke track records and work out the timing between runs on when he performs best, and that's what we work towards.
It's a great insight from a trainer who's very, very successful as well with, as I said earlier, 2 of the best sprinters in the game. Has she surprised you with just how quick she's burst onto the scene? Because it feels like looking from Victoria up to New South Wales, she's come from nowhere, this girl.
Yeah, she hasn't surprised me because she's had as much ability as Jack from the first second we broke her in and put the clock on her. I suppose to do what she's done in so fewer starts, very few bitches would have done that, but I have no doubt at all about her ability. I think when you come from New South Wales down there to Victoria, there's a bit of a, until you prove yourself down here, nothing... you might not be held as in higher regard until you do it in Victoria. But I had no doubt that she would do what she's done,
She's burst onto the scene, looks an absolute star of the future. Mate, we do power rankings, as you've come to know on this episode. You've got the top 2 players in the Phoenix right here, right now. Can you power rank them?
I'd always put Jack on top. I have a saying, she's a star, but he's a freak. Like, he does things that I don't see other dogs do.
It's a good insight. So 1 Cumbria Jack, 2 Eriza Sparkles for Stephen Fitch. What's the plan post the Phoenix, mate? They come back to Sydney after that. Is there a couple of races that you've got in the back of your mind for these 2 very, very good sprinters?
Probably, well, the clashes with the Paul Wheeler race in Sydney, so they're probably obviously both going to miss that. They more than likely come back here for a couple of weeks and head back up. They're both eligible for the Queensland. Jack's still eligible for the Queensland Derby because he's still only just about to turn 2.5, and she's only just turned 2. So there's the Queensland Derby for him, and she's eligible for the Queensland Futurity and the New South Wales Futurity. So they're probably the targets. Jack would more than likely, that there's no issues. He'll stay up in Queensland for the whole Golden Carnival.
Exciting times ahead, mate. 2 of the absolute stars of greyhound racing. Do you have one left of centre in the kennel up there at Nowra Hill that we can follow on the Green Light On podcast that might not necessarily be an Eriza Sparkles, but might come out and win a few races, and we might be able to have a $1 each way on?
3 other really nice dogs in the kennel, and that's look, Cumbria Benny's made 4 group finals. He's Jack's little brother, and poor Benny, he sits in the corner and no one talks about him, but he's made 4 group finals. He's in a Bulleye tomorrow night. I couldn't see him getting beat over the 400 there. He'd probably be short. And the other one, Cumbria Chrissy, is a very, very fast bitch. Still, again, a little mate to Jack and Benny. Hopefully she might get back up for the Paul Wheeler in December, and another nice dog is Sparkles' little mate is Gramercy Gary, who's he's run 29.6 here the last 2 weeks and got beaten by a length and a head or something like that, which is always frustrating, but he's in a final here Thursday night. I think Minnie Finn's dog went absolutely flew here in the heats of the Deb Coleman Memorial race last Thursday, so he would struggle to beat that. But when he gets to Wenny, there's definitely races in in store for him. He's a nice dog. He can run his 29.6, 29.5, which is no mug dog. And the thing about all three of those, and same as Jack and Sparkles, is all of them chase really, really hard. And any dog that chases hard is always, welcome in my kennel, and always know that they're competitive. So
100%. Gramercy, Gary, Cumbria Chris, and Cumbria Benny. 3 to follow that aren't the two big guns. The last couple of questions I have for you, mate. Key to training. You've had a crack at it full time. You're successful. I guess just a little bit of an insight as to what you do on the day-to-day with your dogs and what you believe is the key to success to successful training.
The most important thing is good dogs make you look good. I don't consider myself to be any guru trainer. I just do what I think is sensible, and fast dogs are fast no matter how you train them. So I used to walk on the road of a morning with them, and then I sort of ended up with too many dogs, and I stopped that, and because my knee was playing up. So now they just tend to mostly free gallop. Use a little bit of the walking machine, but mostly they work free gallop here. To hard one in the morning, and then the afternoons they always go out in the big paddock, maybe 3 or 4 together, and they just poke around. I don't do anything amazing apart from I'll go back a step. So I used to do, before I moved down here, I used to do triathlon. Not to look at me now. I don't do.
No worries, Steve. I used to run many moons ago.
Yeah. And then when you were doing triathlon, you did, and same with any physical sport, you did 3 types of training. One was sprint work, one was repetition work, and one was long, slow work. You know what I mean? So when you say you're training to run a half marathon, you don't just run long all the time. You do sprint sessions, you do repeat sessions, and then you do a long, slow session. And the dogs are do much the same. So they'll sprint up and down the straight here together, and that sort of sprint and repeat work. They go up the drag, behind the drag at a friend's house, 300 metre up the straight once a week. And then the afternoons they might just go out in the paddock and they just run around for 10 minutes, but only just loping around and just having a sniff and enjoying themselves. I think the most important things with them are, one, they've got to be free of any pests, so making sure your flea and worming program are all top notch. You've got to be sound, so you've got to have good checkers and not overwork them. And then 3, they've got to be fit.
It's a great insight. No wonder they can't beat Cumbria Jack. He's trained for a triathlon. That's why he just burst straight past them at the end. I love that.
Jack's not a hard worker. Jack just pokes around. He's trying to get him to run. Unless there's a lure in front of him, he's not that bothered. He's a funny dog, but when he goes to the track, he gives absolutely everything.
Yeah, the ultimate professional. Tell me something about you that a lot of people wouldn't know. There'd have to be something about Stephen Fitch that people don't know.
I'm pretty simple, mate. I just like having a beer and a bet, and the dogs. I've done going back 10 years. I've done an Ironman triathlon, the full distance, which is your 3.8k swim, 180k ride, and followed by a marathon. Run a few marathons, and that's maybe something people don't know. Yeah.
Well, there's something I didn't know anyway. One thing I do know, mate, is you're one hell of a trainer. You've had a crack at it full time, and you're absolutely airborne, and you're in the box seat when it comes to this year's Phoenix. 2 runners engaged already, 2 locked away. And interestingly enough, mate, they're the only 2 locked away. So good luck with everything moving forward. We can't wait to see the road, I guess, to the Phoenix for Cumbria Jack, and obviously Eriza Sparkles. We're looking forward to seeing her go around Thursday night at the Meadows. So safe travelling, happy punting, and thanks for your time, mate, on the Green Light On podcast. We appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.